Now I said there's also a role of insulin in fat metabolism. So what does insulin do to fat? So here is a person who's consumed some fatty steak. Now instead of glucose, there is fatty acids here. Now these fatty acids enter the muscle through a mechanism. I didn't draw that mechanism. And to get into the muscles, you need insulin and an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase. And the fat that enters the muscle can either be burned for energy. So you'd be surprised that people who are physically active, who are on a low carb diet, are actually burning more fat, and I'll show you that in subsequent slides. But the fat that they cannot burn, they can store it close to the mitochondria, close to the engines of the cells, in what is called intramyocellular fat, IMCL, intramyocellular lipid. So you would be surprised that the muscles can also store the fat you have eaten. So in somebody whose muscle is insulin sensitive, that means insulin is working well, these muscles have a lot of capability of storing fat. They have very healthy mitochondria. You will see these green little dots out here, these are mitochondria. So they have capacity to store intracellular fat, which is healthy fat. They have a very large engine, so they can burn the fat. In addition, because they are healthy, they will also have a lot of glucose channels. So they not only will have ability to store fat, but they will have ability to store glycogen. What they don't have is what is called toxic fat. So if the muscle gets unhealthy, one of the first things that happens is that it loses its capacity to burn fuel. So the mitochondria become shriveled, they're not as good, they're not burning as well, they are fewer in number. So the fat in the cells get rancid. You can only store so much. If it's not in dynamic movement to burning, the fat gets rancid. And as it gets rancid, it gets converted to two compounds. One of them is called ceramide. Now, if you go to my YouTube channel, you will see a good presentation on ceramide. But ceramide is necessary in small quantities for our cells. But when the quantities increase, the ceramide then goes and kills the mitochondria. And it prevents these glucose channels from being activated. And so the muscle can neither store glycogen well, nor can it use glucose well. And of course, it has a lot of rancid fat that it is not able to use because there is no capacity for it to burn. In other words, the engine is bad.